I don't even know. And if I leave them in here, yeah, this is the only one I got, so we're just going to do it. So you have your caseworker, and then you have your team leader, and a lot of, and then your program manager, and then your executive director, now probably more called a CEO these days. But this is sort of the order of things in a way. It's not it's not precise, but it's kind of the way it would look. So this is, when we're talking about the structural frame, we're talking about who does what, who's in what role, and yeah, this says caseworker, team leader, program manager, and executive director. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey! This is coming from Timothy. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Please, okay. All right, let me rewrite this. I just want you to have an example of this so that you'll know kind of where you are, where you'll be, and what to expect. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to start out as a therapist, and that's a different, you won't probably start out that way. So when I started, these were some of the things. Project manager. Executive director, or now known as probably more like a CEO. And this changes over time. So it's also a way for organizations to provide promotions. So a caseworker could become a team leader. And then if they're there long enough and somebody drops off the top, this person would probably be in line for this job if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. If not, if they're a terrible team leader, then they're probably not going to get that next step up. But then, and so everyone is always kind of, that's the way our country goes, isn't it? Even in nonprofit. But everybody is always kind of striving to get to the next level because there's usually some money involved there, right? And promotion and time in the business, and there's different things, respect and that sort of thing that you get. So I just think it's important for you to understand how this kind of works. And that would be the roles and relationships and the assigned tasks. So we know that there are different tasks within under each one of these. And then there's the human resource way of looking at things, which examines the relationships between the people and how they relate to the organization. So that would be who supervises who. Okay, so this person usually supervises this person, who supervises this person, who supervises this person in some areas. When I was at, it was interesting, when I was at Safe Haven, I was the children's program supervisor. So I was the children's program supervisor over 2 shelters, Arlington and Fort Worth, and then under them were 2, what did we call those? I think they were team leaders of some kind. And they supervised all of the other people. So these people had a caseload. These people had the children's program caseloads. These people were in child care. So they were like the child care workers. But I had that whole group under, and all of those people eventually reported to me. So I was the bottom line there. It's interesting to see, I think. So then you also have a political framework, and that is how does the organization work as far as where the politics and the power come from. Most nonprofit organizations have a board of directors, and so they, with the executive director, sort of set the standards for the organization. And then there's a symbolic frame, the organization, interplay of artifacts, values, and beliefs. So an organization can take on its own culture and its own identity. So think about the School of Social Work here. We are continuing to always develop our own culture and our own identity in various places where you work. How many of you are working right now? Okay, somebody share something that you know about the cultural identity at your office or wherever you are, your place of work. What is it like there? What is the culture? Do people, so part of the culture identity would be, do y'all do lunch together? Okay, do you celebrate birthdays together? Anybody bring a cake? A lot of nonprofit organizations, this is how we are. We love one another, this type of thing. So get ready, because there are usually, like even here at the university, we have a monthly cake for everyone, for the staff and faculty's birthdays. We have a cake. That's part of our culture. Part of the culture that we have, too, is like the colors of the organization. You know, there'll be a day where you're expected to wear, like at Alliance for Children, you'll wear blue because blue is Child Abuse Prevention Month recognition. So those kinds of things have to do with the culture of the organization. This is kind of small, but if you'll look at page 191, it'll show you, I'm not even going to ask who all read the book because I don't know. Put my head in the sand on that. This has a list of all of the theories. I should have y'all memorize these, huh? Yeah, memorize all the theories by the end of the class. And so I'm going to see your heart stop or something. I don't know. But anyway, this is a good chart to have so that you'll know kind of where things fit if you are a chart person. But it talks about when things first came along. So one of the first theories we're going to talk about is this idea of bureaucracy. And a lot of people don't realize that bureaucracy started, the idea came about in 1894. So these are ideas and things that we've been using in workplace settings for a long time. And they grow and change over time. Just like every other theory, these kinds of theories grow and change over time. So you'll have one guy or girl, usually in this case it's a male, but we'll say guy or girl. You'll have one person, and they come up with an idea about how they think things do work or will work. Okay. Anyway, always one. Anyway, so you'll have one person who comes up with an idea about how things are supposed to work. And then you'll have another person who comes up with either an addition to that idea or something they think will work better, but they built it on that original idea. And so they build on top of one another, and then you end up with kind of what we have today, which is a lot of theories. You can see in that list a ton of different things that can be used at any time in an organization. So it's not one of those things where you'll sit there and say, okay, well, I'm going to get this theory out today. You won't necessarily always do that every day, but you'll be working within an organization that has all of these different things going on at one time. Okay. A couple of terms that you need to know. Open systems theories discuss how organizations are influenced by the outside environment, and closed systems theories talk about what's something within the organization. You just need to know that there's a difference between that there are things that happen inside the organization and things that happen outside the organization that affect the organization. So something like that would be most nonprofits deal with outside funders, and so that would be a good example of that, like the state government is one of the funders, so that would be part of the open system that organizations access. Organizational structure refers to the way relationships are constituted among persons within an organization. The activities are organized in a way to benefit the organization, and one person's position should coordinate with another person's position in a way that they support one another. You may be at an organization right now that is not how that works. That you do not feel supported and the other person is not supported and they are not connecting. I've been in those places before where maybe you're trying to accomplish something and there is someone who is more of a hindrance than a help to you in trying to accomplish that. But in a perfect world, that's how it's supposed to work. Each person should be supporting the other person in reaching the big goal, which is to benefit the clients or to reach the agency's mission, which should be directed at the client. So let's talk about this word bureaucracy. What do you think of when I say bureaucracy? Paperwork. What else? Government. Does it make you feel good when you hear the word bureaucracy? You go, sign me up. Right? No? No. Not generally, no. But it was actually meant to describe the ultimate perfect way of running an organization. So the intent of the word bureaucracy initially was how to do the ideal thing. So Max Weber in 1894 decided he would come up with, well, what is the ideal type of organization? If we were going to do this the absolute best way you could, it would look like this. It would have a hierarchy where, it could be top down, but where someone is in charge, someone is in control, and other people maybe answer to the next person. This one's very interesting, where job candidates are selected for their technical qualifications. We're seeing more and more of that nowadays. When I was in school, we were learning about general practice, general social work practice, but I think now you're going back more to a selective practice, more of a, where you have narrowed down a specific area that you're interested in. But it's interesting to know that job candidates were actually selected for what they were able to do and how they could benefit the organization. Each position has a defined sphere of competence. In other words, the people doing the job have been trained and are qualified to do their specific job. You've probably been somewhere recently where you were wondering if that person was qualified to do that job, right? And you've kind of been asking in your mind, I don't know this person. I don't know how they got that job. I don't know if they applied, how they were able to write that application. I don't know, but they're there. Positions also reflect a high degree of education and specialization. They thought that at that time that full-time employment was really the best way to go. If you wanted to have the ultimate organization that functioned with all the wheels turning in the right direction and meeting the goal of the organization. I think that's important because originally it was more about the goal of the organization, and a lot of other things have come along to make it about the people who work there as well over time. But at this time it's like, how much can we make, how fast can we make it, and what is the best way to get there? And the best way to make these widgets the fastest way possible is to make sure we have the right people trained and the right people doing the right jobs. They had a system of records that was maintained to summarize the activities, and that there was no friends on the job. We were here to do a job, and that was it. And these things are really important to remember because of how much it's changed now, too. The distinctions are drawn between personal and private lives. You didn't come in and put your pictures of your kids on your desk and those kinds of things. It was, we're here to do a job, 8 to 5, let's go. It's a full-time job. Give everything you got to the organization, and then when you're done with here, you can go have your life. But that was what Max Weber thought would be the ideal organization if you really want to maximize the productivity of your organization. He used the term authority to describe how power is disseminated in the organization. I want to go back for a second, too, and I want to just think about a time when we didn't have these words. So think about a time when we weren't thinking this way about running an organization or a business of any kind. We weren't thinking about rules of procedures. We weren't thinking about how qualified is this person to do this job. So in that time period, those were some new ideas about doing things a certain way. So it's may come easy to us and easy for us to understand a little bit now, but at that time, that was a new idea. Okay.